Welcome to the show. This is Wellness Talk, and I am George Batista, your host and wellness advocate. Wellness Talk is a show that goes over the latest in health and healing, nutrition, and supplements. We take the mystery out of supplements and we give you tips and tricks you can use to live a healthy life. Hope you guys are doing great today. GeorgeBatista.com is the website. You can go check out all the articles that we go over. Everything's fully referenced. So, and make sure that you like, share, and subscribe, because this way you can support this show. I am coming to you from a very hot and steamy New York. You know, we're going through this heat wave right now. It's in the 90s here, but it feels like over 100. So I hope wherever you are keeping cool. And but hopefully you can take us along with you for your drive or whatever it is you're doing and get some good information out of it. So, all right. So this week we're going to be talking about one of the things that is near and dear to my heart, meaning, and the reason why I say that is because it's something I dealt with since I was maybe like 16 years old, and that is allergies, specifically seasonal allergies, hay fever, and that type of thing. A lot of people deal with it. Usually you get it, either springtime or fall, and you pretty much kind of can feel when it's coming on, and it's like, oh no, here comes those allergies again. Then you run out and you start getting some of the over-the-counter medications or whatever the doctor prescribes or whatever, that type of thing. So we're going to go over how to treat seasonal allergies naturally. And this is by Kathleen McCoy. And I think this, you really need to hear this stuff, especially those of you who are dealing with it, because again, like I said, this is something I dealt with for many, many, many years. And it was a horrible thing to deal with, but I was actually able to overcome it. A lot of people don't understand how, but I'm going to tell you not only the tips and tricks that they give you in this article, but I'm also going to show you what I did and the things that helped me. Now, keep in mind that everybody's different, right? So not, the same thing that I did maybe may not affect you the same exact way, but I can at least kind of steer you in the right direction of the things that I did that helped me, and hopefully it does help you. So we're going to talk about allergies. Then from Wellness Resources, we're going to talk about mold exposure affects brain health, focus, and mood. A lot of people dealing with mold. Now, mold can be found in many, many different places. Typically, people think of mold when they're, in their basements or, in some kind of building or that type of thing. But, mold can affect a lot of things. It affects a lot of people. And again, it affects a lot of people differently. Some people are more susceptible to mold than others. So we're going to talk about how mold exposure affects many different aspects of your brain health and your cognitive health and what you can do about it. So very important stuff. Then again, also from Wellness Resources, we're going to talk about, and this is kind of going to be our spotlight nutrient at the same time, we're going to talk about astaxanthin. And for those of you who don't know what astaxanthin is, it's the red pigment that belongs in the group called the carotenoids, okay? And it's typically what makes salmon pink, right? It gives salmon that pink red color, so that's what that is, but it's actually an antioxidant. And we're going to talk about what it does, how it can support your immune system, your mitochondria, and also piggybacking on the other article that we're talking about, also helps as a mold protector. So I think you will get a lot out of this as well, but at the same time, it's going to be our nutrient spotlight. So we've got a lot of really, really good, important stuff for you. So let's get started. All right, first from Kathleen McCoy, again, hay fever, natural ways to treat seasonal allergy symptoms. Now, let's talk a little bit about the numbers, and we're also going to get into a little bit of how allergies actually work and why people get allergies in the body and exactly what's going on. What are the mechanisms of that? Okay, so hay fever it's an estimated about 40 million to 60 million people each year suffer from hay fever, okay, or seasonal allergies. Now, approximately 80% of people with asthma also suffer from seasonal allergies as well. Now, let's talk about a little bit more. These are statistics back from 2016, and the U.S. allergy symptoms: 1 in 5. This is 1 in 5 people in the United States get some form of allergy symptoms. Now, keep in mind, we know that allergies are not just seasonal. Obviously, they can be food allergies. They could be all those different types of things. So I think this is kind of lumping all that together. But we're just kind of giving you a framework here, okay? So 55% of the US population test positive for allergens. Okay. And the annual cost of allergies to the healthcare system is about $7.9 billion. That's with a B. Okay. Number of work days lost from hay fever per year is about 4 million. Okay. So it's a big deal. Allergies are a big deal. So let's talk a little bit about the mechanisms of allergies, because a lot of people just think, well, I'm allergic, I don't know exactly what's going on here. So we're going to dive and again, I'll glance over it. I won't go crazy into it, but we'll talk a little bit about how the immune system treats certain allergens. Now, what is an allergen? So an allergen really, when you look at it, is a harmless substance. Okay, that's pretty much what it is. It's a harmless substance, but once it gets into your body, it's taken in by your body, then this is where the mechanism happens, right? Each person's body or immune system treats the substance differently. Some people won't affect at all, and then some people get this reaction. So, keep that in mind. Now, you have in your body, okay, what's called immunoglobulins. Now, immunoglobulin protein, they're basically glycoproteins, and they're molecules produced by the white blood cells, and they are responsible for the immune response to certain situations. Okay, so you have different types of immunoglobulins. You have IgMs, you have IgGs, and you have IgEs. Okay, so many different types. So we're not going to get into all of them because they all pertain to specific things. Like, for example, IgMs, immunoglobulin M's, they produce antibodies, and they're recruited by the immune system to fight infection. Okay, they deal with specific infections. They produce B cells that actually help to bind to the pathogens and stimulates antibody production and the immune system's call to action, basically. Okay, so that's the IgM. So we're going to specifically talk a little bit about the IgE immunoglobulins. Okay, now these are the ones that are responsible for the allergic response. Okay, they are found in the lungs, they are found in the skin, they are found in the mucosal membranes, the mucosal linings of your body. Okay, they're produced by B cells. Okay, and they're secreted by your lymph nodes and other lymphoid tissues situated near or next to the site of the allergen. And one of the things they do is they help to protect the body from a parasitic infection. That's one of their jobs. Okay, so again, they are part of the immune response. Now, here's the issue. Okay, the IgE binds to the allergen. So when the IgE binds to the allergen, okay, it triggers a cascade of events. Okay, so then we have these cells called basophils and mast cells that are produced. Okay, and these cells actually break open and they release what's called histamine. Histamine is basically an inflammatory compound that is produced, and it's basically secreted into the bloodstream. Okay, and histamine is what is responsible for the symptoms of allergies. Okay, so again, look at how this works. Basically, your body is introduced to a foreign substance, let's just say pollen, for example, and then you have this immune triggered response. Okay, so you have the IgEs getting involved. Okay, and then what they do is they trigger this cascade of events. Basophils and mast cells start going into action. They start to break open, and then they start to release again what's called histamine, that actually floods the bloodstream, causes an inflammatory cascade, and basically starts to produce the symptoms that you call allergy. So what are the symptoms? Obviously, we have runny nose, we have sneezing, we have watery eyes, we have scratchy throat, it could be a rash, all these types of things. Could be a sinus headache, all that type of stuff is produced. And, and again, it's similar to what your body goes through when you're fighting off a cold, right? Your body fights off a cold, and what is it doing? It's producing all these things to try to deal with the pathogen that's in your body and to get rid of all this stuff, right? Well, it's happening the same way, except the trigger response, meaning what's triggering it, is different. The difference is, like, for example, a virus versus, pollen, and pollen is pretty much harmless. But once it gets into someone's body, then it can get triggered. So now, again, the time of year can affect, if and when someone gets this allergic reaction. Okay, it's called allergic rhinitis, and so a lot of times it can occur in the spring when the pollen start to spring out. This is what used to happen with me. I used to get it in the spring and the fall, because in the spring typically pollen is really prevalent, right? And then you get the ragweed type of pollen, which is in the fall. Okay, so I would literally get both, but ragweed for me was the worst. That one used to really hit me, and I knew when I was getting it in the fall, I'm telling you, I would start to swell up. I would start to get all these symptoms, and I was on all this medication. It was just horrible. Now, sometimes location can also help you deal with it. So, for example, you can be in a location where allergies are really prevalent, where the pollen count is really, really high. And then you can move to another location where the pollen count is not so high. Okay. So that can help. Moving to a different location obviously can make a big difference in terms of if you are dealing with it. Now, research indicates that nearly 75% of people in the United States who suffer from seasonal allergies are allergic to ragweed. Okay. And that's the one that really used to hit me. Ragweed pollen wasn't, the straight pollen wasn't as bad for me, but pollen due to ragweed that's the one that really used to get me, especially in the fall. Okay. So we know all the symptoms of allergies and that type of thing and what it produces. Now, how do you know if you have bad allergies? Well, the same pollen and allergens that trigger seasonal allergy symptoms can sometimes cause more serious symptoms as well, such as asthma attacks that result in wheezing, shortness of breath, chest tightness, and difficulty breathing, though. And this condition is referred to as allergy-induced asthma or allergic asthma. So that is a condition. And people especially with compromised immune systems, COPD, respiratory issues, and those types of things, those people have to be very, very careful when it comes to seasonal allergies and complications and stuff like that. Okay. So, what can we do to try to, start to put ourselves in the right direction where we may start to treat it or start to support it in a more natural way? So, obviously, one of the big things is first of all, you have to understand something about allergies. At its basic, at the basic level, allergies is an immune system problem. Okay, again, it's an immune system problem, and the reason why you say that is because you can have two people who are living in the exact same place, who eat the exact same foods and do pretty much the exact same things. One person can have the really bad triggers of allergies, and another person will get nothing. And what's the common denominator? The common denominator is the person's immune system. That the immune system is hyperreacting to the problem. Okay. And that's what I had to deal with. That's what I had to realize as I got older, is that it was my immune system that was hyperreacting to this thing. Okay. So that's the first thing. As a matter of fact, according to Johns Hopkins medicine, allergies are actually disorders of the immune system. They say the body overreacts to harmless substances and produces antibodies to attack the substance. This is what causes the symptoms. This is right out of Johns Hopkins. Okay, so that's the first thing you have to understand. It is an immune system problem. Now, what do I say when you have an immune system problem? Okay, just like when there's viruses floating around, right? Pandemics floating around. Strengthen the immune system. Start to treat the immune system. Start to deal with what you can to support the immune system to put yourself in the direction of getting better, right? Or feeling better, okay? So obviously you want to avoid the things that trigger it, right? So if you see that there are certain things triggering it, now allergies comes in all forms. Obviously, there are certain things that contribute, but if you look at seasonal allergies specifically, right? Again, the hay fevers, the pollens, the ragweeds, you're not going to not go outside, right? But obviously, if you're indoors, by the way, dust can also, you can be allergic to dust and dust mites and things like that. So obviously cleaning up your space, making sure you change your sheets and your pillows regularly, dusting as much as you can. Another thing, getting one of those filters, dust filters. It's fantastic. You put it in your home and helps to filter out a lot of those allergens, especially those of you who have carpets, right? So getting one of those filters is one of the best things you can do to, if you're indoors, and also air conditioning can help with that as well. Okay. But trying to avoid those allergens as much as possible is one of the best things to do. Now, obviously, what are some of the foods that you can eat, or some of the things that will help while strengthening the immune system? Okay, actually, you'd be surprised, but local raw honey is a great thing to add to your make sure that it's raw and it's good, maybe organic honey, but it's one of the best things to use when it comes to allergies. Why? In a randomized control study published in the International Archives of Allergy and Immunology, patients who consumed honey had significantly better control over their allergies compared to those on conventional allergy medications. Local honey works to relieve symptoms because it contains local pollen that causes your allergies and helps the immune system deal with it better. So a couple of tablespoons each day can help to relieve it, has been known to help to relieve itchy, watery eyes, runny nose, and general symptoms of hay fever. So honey, great thing. Now, next thing we want to do is support the gut. Okay, so probiotic rich foods are great. So kefir, yogurts, any kind of probiotics, natto, kombucha, all those things are great for helping the gut, because obviously the gut is 70 to 80% of the immune system. That has to do with this. So cleaning up your gut is also a big thing with this as well. Okay, keeping the allergies in check. Right now, what are some of the supplements that we can use to help with allergies? So I'm going to go just really quickly over some of the ones that they name in the article. Spirulina, one teaspoon per day. Spirulina helps to stop the release of histamine that causes symptoms. Okay, they've done studies on it, and they show that spirulina does help to improve allergy symptoms. Quercetin is the big one that I used. One of the big ones that I use. Quercetin at 1,000 milligrams per day. Research shows that quercetin, the flavonoid that gives fruits and vegetables their rich color, stops the production and release of histamine. Okay, so keep in mind, quercetin is great. Now, here's a quick note that quercetin may interfere with certain medications, including antibiotics. So again, if you're taking quercetin, you got to make sure that you're not on antibiotics, because there have been studies that have known that it can interfere with that. Okay, butterbur, that's BUTTERBUR at 500 milligrams per day. That has been known to help not only to treat bronchitis, but excess mucus and asthma, okay? But also helps to be effective with hay fever. Probiotics, again, we talked about it, 50 billion units is very good, but any probiotics you can get in your system to help with gut. Again, these are long-term solutions. This is not an overnight thing, so you got to keep that in mind. Everything I'm talking about is long-term. It took me a while to get to the point where I'm not dealing with allergies anymore, right? So long-term use, but you got to stay on this stuff, okay? Vitamin A, 2,000 micrograms per day. At least vitamin A helps to fight the inflammation and the antihistamine properties. Next, bromelain. Bromelain at 1,000 milligrams per day. Bromelain has an enzyme. It's the enzyme from pineapples. Okay, helps to reduce the swelling in the nose, helps sinuses, and has helped to release or to relieve hay fever symptoms. Zinc, 30 milligrams per day. Zinc helps to treat the adrenal fatigue caused by chronic stress. And stinging nettle. Stinging nettle also, and you can find a lot of these online as well. Contains, it also contains, it's helps to contain antihistamine, and it's also anti-inflammatory. All right. Now, another big one that I've used, the ones that I used specifically for myself, just so you guys know what I did. I used quercetin in very high amounts. I used vitamin C. Now, vitamin C works with quercetin very, very well. And I would suggest that they're both anti-inflammatory, but vitamin C, obviously an antioxidant, but also vitamin C works as a mild antihistamine. A lot of people don't know that. So take vitamin C, take quercetin together. Another product, again, from Wellness Resources, because those are the ones that I used, Wellness Resources Immune Plus. That's a great one that helps to, it comes in powder form. You take it in, and it helps to drain the lymphatics. If you're dealing with a lot of mucus and that type of thing, helps to drain all that. It helps to kind of get rid of that as well. So those types of things, along with, most of the other stuff that I was using. Obviously, a good diet, cleaning up my gut, and trying to get past, stay away from as much allergens as possible. So those are the things that I would suggest. And then just a couple of other things: stay hydrated. You want to be as hydrated as possible, drink as much water as possible, because the more dehydrated you are, the more mucus you actually develop. So if you can hydrate yourself, it actually helps to drain some of the mucus. Okay, again, limit exposure. Make sure you shower before you go to bed, especially if you've been in an allergy type, dealing with allergens all day. Wipe down your bed, wipe down anything you can. So all these types of things, and obviously wash your clothes as much as you can, because the allergens can stay on there as well. So again, just some tips. But these are the things that I use. Again, I use these on a long-term basis. It wasn't just a one-shot deal, but I really supported my immune system with all these things. And sure enough, little by little, the allergies started to go away. Okay. So just check those out. Something to think about as far as allergies go. But I think if you really stay the course and do these things on a regular basis, you will find some relief instead of having to deal with the over-the-counter stuff. Because the over-the-counter stuff, it makes you drowsy, and it really doesn't do anything. It kind of masks the symptoms, but it actually makes it worse, because that's what it did for me. So just keep that in mind when you're dealing with allergies. Okay, next, from Wellness Resources: mold exposure affects brain health, focus, and mood. Okay, so again, we're looking at mold. Okay, a lot of people dealing with mold, and obviously you want to try to clean out. If you're dealing with mold in your basements, obviously mold removal is a big thing. It's a big thing. In the past places that I've lived, I've had to do that myself, especially if there's a big storm. Where I used to live, coming from New York City, we used to get floods in the basement, and that would obviously, we would end up dealing with a lot of mold, and especially with big type of storms that would come in and stuff like that. So we would have to get mold removal, and it was a whole thing. It was horrible, but it cost a lot of money too. But anyway, again, you're looking at, mold can come from, from all different places. Mold toxins could even be found in different foods as well. Okay. So even with chronic low levels of mold exposure, what's called mycotoxins can adversely affect your health, because that's what it is: mycotoxins, or mold toxins. That's pretty much the same thing. So mold toxins are absorbed into the respiratory tract and digestive tracts, as well as your skin. These mycotoxins can cause fatigue, brain fog, poor mood, lethargy, chronic sinus issues. Again, looking at sinus issues, difficulty, learning, difficulty with memory. Okay, these biotoxins can also affect your joints, can also affect your muscles, your lungs, especially your brain, peripheral nervous system. And the thing is, not with just immediate exposure. Okay, this can be a chronic thing over time. So, for example, if you live someplace, and let's say you bought a new place and you realize there was mold in that place, and you get that mold taken care of, you have to see, down the line, are you dealing with chronic things that you didn't deal with before since you moved there? Because you could still be dealing with the chronic effects even if after you've gotten rid of the mold. So that's just something you have to think about now. So, research has been showing that these biotoxins can adversely affect the cognitive health of children and adults, along with long-term effects if not cleared and detoxified. Okay, now we've talked about amyloid beta proteins and in the brain and mitochondria. That's one of the things that's responsible for the onset of Alzheimer's, dementia, those types of things, right? Not being able to clear these amyloid beta proteins that you accumulate throughout the day. Okay. So the mycotoxins and the pro-inflammatory responses that are caused by this inflammatory process or cytokines from mold can induce cell apoptosis in the brain. Okay. Or apoptosis means cell death. And it can cause inflammation and oxidative damage, and causes deposits of amyloid beta proteins in your brain and its mitochondria. Okay. So think about it. Again, your brain also produces mitochondria, right? Your cell engines, okay, that allows your brain to function. Your brain uses up a lot of energy, okay? So these deposits can actually affect not only they can deposit not only your brain, but it can actually help to deposit into the mitochondria, where actually start to slow things and actually start to kill cells. So, things to think about. Now, decreased assimilation of knowledge, difficulty with word finding, concentration, memory, mood swings may be caused by mold toxins, and they can affect your brain tolerance, your balance, your coordination, and your movement. Okay. So, again, these are things to keep in the back of your mind. Now, let's look at your mucosal barrier and integrity breakdown. Okay. So, obviously, you have this mucosal barrier. It lines your digestive tract, it lines your lungs. It's all, it's responsible for trapping all different types of pathogens and that type of thing as well. Okay. So mold and cytokines can also adversely impair the mucosal barrier integrity found in your lungs, in the gut lining, and the blood-brain barrier. A breakdown in mucosal barriers can actually cause gut dysbiosis. Okay, right? You start to have massive gut problems. It can contribute to stress on the gut-brain connection. You know that the gut and brain are connected, right? So, and it can further worsen cognitive decline and cognitive challenges. So think about your history again. Think about, if you've moved to a new place, and there was any kind of water damage or any kind of mold building up or anything like that. Do you see symptoms or signs in your brain? Do you see symptoms or signs in your cognitive, do you see cognitive decline? Do you see, any kind of problems in thinking or recall or memory, those types of things? So you have to kind of take inventory of that to make sure that you're not still dealing with those chronic issues. Now, again, bleach, a lot of people remove mold from bleach. I've done that in the past, but sometimes it does not completely remove the mold and the mycotoxins. Okay. So, so obviously you want to try to get it resolved as much as possible, depending on how much mold you're dealing with. Okay. But remember that mold can absorb into furniture, into materials and plastics, into mattresses and pillows. Okay. And all that stuff may need to be replaced. Okay. Now, research has demonstrated that bleach, ammonia, ozone, ultraviolet radiation, and heating does not completely remove mold and mycotoxins, right? So how do we support, if you've been exposed to mold, right? You've been dealing with maybe cognitive decline, or you just want to make sure that you don't deal with cognitive decline after you've removed the mold and you've cleaned things up. So how do we optimize for toxic clearance, mitochondria, and optimize for the mucosal barriers? So let's look at nutritional support. We have glutathione, N-acetylcysteine, chlorella, okay, activated charcoal. All these things can help bind and to sequester mold toxins in your body. Glutathione levels are often low in individuals exposed to mold toxins. They've done research on this, okay? So from Wellness Resources, top choice is Daily Detoxify and Glutathione Ultra are great nutritional supplements to help to support detoxification of mold and any kind of inflammatory issues you're dealing with. Okay. Antioxidant support is essential to protect the mitochondria from mycotoxin-free radicals and aid in detoxification. So we're looking at B vitamins, zinc, magnesium, coenzyme Q10, melatonin, and whey protein have all been found to be helpful, and they actually are helpful to support glutathione and restore the depleted antioxidant levels associated with mold toxins. Two more, astaxanthin, which I'm going to go into in a few minutes, and grape seed extract also provides support against the toxic effects of mold. So those are the top choices. Again, we always talk about, the supplements from Wellness Resources. Wellness Resources, 35-year-old supplement company on the forefront of clinical nutrition. Those are the ones that I go with because those are the ones my friends and family use. So make sure you check out all their supplements when it comes to that. They have fantastic supplements that can help support any of these issues. But those are the ones that would be top choices on my end. But something to think about if you are dealing with mold, or you think you're dealing with mold, or you've gotten rid of mold and you just want to make sure that you are not carrying around any kind of effects from that mold exposure. All right, next, Again, from Wellness Resources, astaxanthin, anti-aging, immune support, mitochondria, and mold protector. Again, piggybacking on that last article. So let's talk about astaxanthin. So first, I'm going to spell it for those of you who don't know how it's spelled because it kind of spelled a little weird. It's Astaxanthin, astaxanthin. Now, recent studies on astaxanthin continue to point out its versatility and impact on the core of health, like mitochondria and anti-aging genes. Now, again, astaxanthin is it's a carotenoid, and it's an antioxidant. Again, it gives salmon that pink reddish color. Now, let's talk a little bit about how it helps and what it does. So oxidative stress, obviously, and mitochondria, I've talked about it on previous shows. You make sure you reference those. But oxidative stress is the major reason why aging occurs, right? Because it creates free radicals and creates ROS, what's called reactive oxygen species, that can contribute to cellular damage and tissue changes. It's kind of like the rust that develops on your car over time. Okay. The more and more time goes along, the more and more rust you get. Okay. So mitochondria, which are your cell engines that give you energy, are highly sensitive to oxidative stress. So mitochondria are inside of your cells, right? Except for red blood cells. These organelles are responsible for the ATP. That is your cellular energy. Okay, that's what creates your energy. Now, they're the central energy. They help with your brain function, your heart, your lungs, your liver, your kidneys, your adrenal glands, and all these types of things. Okay, and these, especially with the heart, the adrenals, the kidneys, the brain, they have high demands of energy. So they need a lot of mitochondria, and they need that mitochondria to be working well. Now, too many free radicals obviously can handicap the production of ATP. And again, you get this kind of cellular degradation. You get apoptosis, which eventually leads to, feeling of tired, and all kind of tissue damage and inflammation and those types of things, and the diseases of aging, especially down the road. Now, astaxanthin, its unique shape provides superior protection. So due to the unique shape of astaxanthin, it offers mitochondria superior protection against the free radicals, or the ROS stress. So in a study published in August of 2019, muscle tissue samples were exposed to heat stresses at 98.6 Fahrenheit to 109 degrees. The ROS levels and mitochondria structure integrity were evaluated before and after the heat stress. Tissues treated with astaxanthin had preserved mitochondrial integrity and function. Otherwise, in the non-treated tissues, heat stress led to mitochondrial breakdown, fragmentation, and eventually cell death, or again, apoptosis. So clearly protecting you from, the heat-generated inflammation. Okay, astaxanthin and brain aging. It has now gained recognition as a brain protector, or cell protector, and a gene protector. Okay, so we have what's called the geroneuroprotector. A geroprotector is a compound that slows the rate of aging and may affect age-associated decline. A geroneuroprotector refers to a powerful age-related protection for the brain and nervous system. So it was a comprehensive review study published in July 2020. It identified the many benefits of astaxanthin that made it a geroneuroprotector. Astaxanthin has the ability to modulate several cellular mechanisms and genes, including genes like NF-kappa B, nuclear factor kappa B, AMP-K, sirtuin-1, which is and NRF2, and FOX03 related. These are genes that are related to longevity and anti-aging. Okay, astaxanthin helps your brain make what's called BDNF, which is brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Now, this is the repair process of your brain. Okay, so it's a powerful brain compound that helps to protect and actually repair your brain. Astaxanthin helps to protect that, and helps to protect what's called neuroplasticity, or the ability of your nervous system to adapt to change and your brain to adapt to change. Okay, fantastic stuff. Jet lag and sugar-induced oxidative stress. There was a recent study that evaluated how weeks of jet lag, stress, and intake of sugar induced wear and tear oxidative stress in mice. So basically, they not only induced jet lag, but sugar and lots of sugar in mice. I'm wondering if they took them on a long trip or something. I don't know how they did it. But anyway, so one test group fed astaxanthin for 6 weeks versus none in the control group. Results show that the astaxanthin supported group experienced very significant anti-aging effects and amelioration of oxidative stress. Now, let's talk about mold toxins. This is what we were just talking about before. Mold toxins and mycotoxins such as okra toxin. Okay, this is the most common, widespread, potent type of mold toxin. It's called the okra toxin. Now, okra toxin A is commonly found in water damaged buildings and heating ducts. Now, okra toxin A12 can enter the bloodstream and accumulate in organs like various parts of your brain, the cerebellum and places like that, but it can also accumulate in the heart, the kidneys, where it leads to increased free radical stress. So how does astaxanthin fit in? A recent study evaluated mice exposed to okra toxin A and measured kidney stress and antioxidant levels. Mice that received the astaxanthin treatment had better antioxidant status and also glutathione status and experienced less kidney stress compared to the non-supported group. Fantastic work. Okay. And I know a lot of this was in mice, but they use mice a lot because they're one of the closest things to when you're dealing with humans. But I'm sure there's a lot of human studies on this as well. And I'm sure they've, tested. The only problem is you're not going to find a lot of human studies because there's not a lot of money to study this stuff in humans, but it is what it is. Now, let's talk about diet and astaxanthin. To get 4 milligrams of astaxanthin in your diet, you would need to consume about 7 ounces of wild-caught salmon every single day. Astaxanthin is found in other sources as well: freshwater fish, trout, red snapper, crab, shrimp, lobster, tilapia, along with green microalgae. So now, I don't know if you're going to be eating that much salmon. If you are, great. If you eat that every single week, fantastic. It's a great thing. But I personally, if I wanted to protect myself, I would eat the salmon because I do eat salmon. I love salmon. Salmon is one of my favorite foods. But I would also take the astaxanthin with it, which brings me to the next article or the next spotlight. And that is our spotlight for this week, which is the Wellness Resources Astaxanthin Supplement. So astaxanthin supplement from Wellness Resources contains the Astra Real Natural Astaxanthin. Okay, contains high purity Astra Real. It's a natural astaxanthin sourced from the marine microalgae, and I'm not even going to. Well, I'm going to try to pronounce it, but it's called Hematococcus pluvius. I don't even think I got that right, but anyway, it's a marine microalgae. That's where they got it from, and that's where they sourced it from. Okay, and Wellness Resources microalgae or astaxanthin contains 6 milligrams of astaxanthin per soft gel capsule. So keep in mind what I said. If you want to get 4 milligrams of astaxanthin in your diet, you need to consume 7 ounces of wild-caught salmon every single day. Or you can, have some of these other fish products and that type of thing. So obviously, if you're not consuming that and you want to get astaxanthin in your diet, a great way to do it is to get it from the Wellness Resources brand, because you get 6 milligrams of astaxanthin per soft gel capsule. So again, let's recap astaxanthin. Great for antioxidant skin and your eyes. It helps to support cellular health and immunity, helps to support the brain. Okay, all the stuff we went over when it comes to the brain helps us, but it also has other support as well. Helps to support the skin, helps to support against UV radiation, supports cholesterol and triglyceride health, and helps to support overall mitochondrial health. So again, Astaxanthin from Wellness Resources. Make sure you go to myvitaminresource.com if you want to take a look at their Astaxanthin. Fantastic supplement. You know, they only do the best stuff and without all the junk. So that's why I use Wellness Resources and their supplements. So that's our spotlight for this week. So that's our show for this week. Hope you got a lot out of it. For make sure you just check out, everything you can do to help with hay fever. We talked about hay fever. We talked about how to, the best things to do for hay fever, making sure that you are, supporting your immune system as much as possible. Because remember, it is an immune system problem. Support your immune system and you're on your way. Dealing with mold. We talked about mold, how to deal with it, how to, obviously, you want to get rid of it, and how to support your mitochondria, support your brain health if at all possible. And then we talked about astaxanthin, again, how it helps with your brain, how it helps all different processes in your body, but also helps with mold exposure as well and oxidative stress. So I hope you guys got a lot out of this. Again, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week. Have a great week. Hope you make sure you take care of yourselves and each other. And as always, take care of your health. Bye-bye now.